Welcome to Throw Off the Lines, the podcast where we navigate life's changes, explore new horizons, and embrace the journey. I'm your host, Stephanie York, an executive coach with a passion for charting new courses on the water and in life. Ready for some total change? Let's dive in. Hi there, and welcome to the total episode about another anger type that we're going to call the Constructive Expresser. And I love this particular person because I feel like it makes women feel empowered and capable and owning, not their anger, but owning a concern, moving through it and past it, and getting these things off their chest. It's a leadership form of angry communication. It's turning anger into power. It can be overused, and we have to be careful that we don't use this in a way that gets us labeled, but this is the best way to handle anger. You know, we've talked about the kind of the anger that simmers and explodes or leaks out sideways. Today, we're looking at the fourth pattern in the series, which is the healthiest, though least common. These women use anger as a tool. They set boundaries, they improve relationships, and they create change in their environment, whether it's at work, at home, in a social setting. And the goal is to show how anyone can move towards this style by using some of these different techniques we're going to talk about, the 5 steps to practice. So let's recognize what a constructive expressor is, because if you're working with the other anger types and you're wanting to be healthier, this is the type of anger resolution you're going to want in your life. So, hey, I'm a leaky, angry person. I want to be more constructively expressive with my anger. So the anger is expressed openly, calmly, and with purpose. And there is direct communication without aggression. You've expressed, you've not aggressed. And that person is going to use more I statements instead of blaming. So you're in a relationship, in a social setting, or in a business, or one of those places where something has come up that's caused you anger. Maybe it's a repeated behavior, or somebody's accused you of something, and you're angry about it. And you're not happy that this is happening. So you're not going to look at them though and say, you did this, you are starting this situation. That doesn't get you anywhere. That is not a proper use of anger. It's not going to express well. And when you start to say, I am uncomfortable when a situation comes up that I can't handle. I don't like that I feel blamed when we both try to decide what we're doing for dinner. I don't, and I'm using that as an example. So and you've probably, almost everybody has seen TV shows or things that always say use I expressions when you're communicating. But it really does help. Try to erase you or they or them and say, I feel this way. I think that it might be more useful if we created a plan to counter that. I feel like this wasn't done the way I would like it to have been done. So addressing issues quickly before resentment builds is part of what a constructive expressor does. We want to say, this is a situation that we've dealt with before. I know that this is concerning. It's causing alarm. I would like to address it this way. And then you're viewing anger as information, not shame. You're not afraid of your anger. You're not worried somebody's going to be hurt by your anger. Your anger exists, but you're not going to explode. You're not going to dig down deep and bury it. Instead, we're going to use it as, I'm angry about this. So I'm going to use I statements, and I'm going to be constructive, and I'm going to try and reach some kind of resolution. And what you want to really think about, if you're journaling about this at all, is when I have spoken my truth calmly and felt stronger about it, I accomplished what? Or I had an angry moment this week, I exploded, or I felt unheard. How could I have expressed myself better using an I statement? And I think that this is a great tool for you to learn to become healthier and not bottle stuff down, especially leaky people. If you've got a lot of anger and you're nitpicking, and you're being sarcastic, you're in situations that anger is bubbling up and it's leaking out of you. These are probably some of the easiest situations for you to see what's happening, break them down, and how could you be more constructively expressive about it. So here's 5 steps that we're going to look into to help practice this type of anger management. We want to pause and process. So notice anger without reacting immediately. So maybe you're sitting talking to someone, or you ask somebody not to do something and they did it again. And it's the 25th time that this has happened. And you are starting to get really angry about it. And normally you would yell at somebody, or you would be sarcastic, like, oh, I guess I got to go do that again. That doesn't get you anywhere. You pause, take a couple deep breaths, count to 10, go for a walk, come back in, and then ask yourself, what is my anger trying to tell me? What about what's happening? What are my expectations? What about what's happening is something I feel I can control? What can I do about it? How could I handle this better? And then use clear, direct language. I feel, I need. And express what your intention is to fix the situation constructively. And then set boundaries. Let anger highlight where to say no, where to walk away, or where to ask for change. If your needs are not being met and you've asked time and time again, anger isn't going to get those things changed. No way. It's just going to make you uncomfortable, unhealthy. You're not going to feel good. You stop sleeping, all that stuff. So instead, let anger highlight, I'm angry right now. Why am I angry? I should have said no to that volunteer thing. I'm going to contact that person back and I'm going to let them know I'm not going to do it. By setting those boundaries and being constructive, you're saying okay to your intuition. You're allowing your intuition to get a bigger voice in your life. You're going to be in a situation and you're going to say, you know what? I told myself I wasn't going to take on any more jobs, any more volunteer stuff, any more tasks. I don't have the bandwidth and I've got to say no. You're going to prepare yourself to say no if you're volunteered for things or if something is too much. And you're going to feel comfortable and okay with saying no and putting in constructive expression. You're not going to let them pile it on you and then later on get mad and blow up. Instead, we're going to say, I'm going to say no, I'm going to walk away, or I'm going to ask for change. That's practicing constructive expression. And then taking action. You're going to channel anger into constructive outlets like problem solving, advocacy, self-care. So instead of saying, oh, why did they try to do that to me again? You said no, let's move on. So let's go then get a massage, or let's go for a walk, or hey, you know, I'm kind of frustrated that this situation's happening, but I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm not going to have anger that's going to dig down inside of me. I'm going to go and try and problem solve this. What are some solutions so this doesn't happen again? You can only do that if you've moved through some of the other anger types. To get to constructive expression and make that your anger type, you have to heal things and you have to get better behaviors. And as always, I strongly recommend therapy or coaching. Practice assertive communication. If you're really struggling standing up for yourself, a therapist or a coach can really help you with that. And there's some great books on that too. There's some in the show notes. Peer groups, spaces where women model healthy expression. Then there's mindfulness, meditation, breath work to regulate your tone and timing so you can be more present and move through anger to constructively express yourself better. And then, find a trusted circle of people you trust. Not people who suppress you or tell you you're not allowed to be angry, but maybe a friend where you say, hey, this situation's happening and I want to be very constructive about it. I want to tell them how I feel and come up with solutions for it. What are some things that you think would work? Here's some ideas that I have. What do you think? I'm going to say this. And then I'm always a big fan of when you're trying to learn new communication skills, write down a few things that you would like to say in that circumstance and practice it in the mirror. Practice saying the things you want. Practice that assertive communication. Say it over and over and over again. And then you'll have it in your pocket when you need to use it. You may have been a stewer before, you may have been a volcano or even a leaker, but you're not locked into that anger type. You can move towards constructive expression at any age. And, progress, not perfection, small steps count. Every time you try to tackle anger, you're working towards being happier. Trust me, it works. And anger doesn't have to push people away. It can be the fuel that pulls you closer to your true self and your purpose, because anger is an intuitive feeling. It's telling you when things are off. And we want to use anger as something that shows us a situation we need to pay attention to. And I love when I get angry. I mean, I don't love it because I heat up and my blood pressure goes up. But as I'm learning to deal with it better, and hopefully you are too through some of these steps, I can now use it as, hey, I don't feel good about this. And my intuition sparks up before I get angry, so I'm able to get out ahead of it and say, whoa, what do I want my response to be? And you get so much more done when you don't let it just simmer down into anger. So there's going to be some tools down below. The Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner is a great one. Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg is a book. And then Getting to Yes is a great negotiation book. I love that one. Keep in mind, you can do yoga, walking, mindfulness breathing. I myself love to go to the gym. It really helps me burn off excess energy so I'm more present when I'm talking to people. And just remember that constructive anger is clarity. It's your inner compass pointing to what matters. Trust it. Use it. Let it guide you to healthier relationships and deeper self-respect. I don't want you to think that you're not allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be angry. We are allowed to be angry. It's what we do with it and what we do around it that is so important to our progress towards peace and happiness and a more fulfilling life. And I really hope this little mini-series has helped you. And please feel free to get a hold of me if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.
Thank you for joining me on Throw Off the Lines. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and extras, and leave a review, share it with someone who needs a total inspiration. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and our Throw Off the Lines website. If you want to be a guest or have questions for the host, sign up on the website and we'll get back to you. Until next time, throw off those lines and live your best life.